Hello guys and welcome back to Everdream. Today I finally decided to start hitting the anime scene with what I hope will be an entertaining series in which I break down the various powers and abilities of various servants from the Fate franchise. To kick this off, I have chosen to start with Lancer from Fate Zero because I have always felt that he is a very underrated servant and one that is worthy of closer examination. And whether or not you share this sentiment, I assure you that if you aren't too familiar with this character, then there will definitely be a few surprises in store for you in regards to what this servant is capable of. But before we get into all that, you guys know the drill. If you are interested in this video and would like to see more Fate related content uploaded, then I need you to let me know by hitting that like button right there on your screen. In addition to this, feel free to subscribe to my channel to get more of my amazing content uploaded directly to your YouTube feed. I would also ask that you share this content to people you feel would be interested in seeing it. And with all this said, let's make like Lancer and finally take a stab at Lancer. Diarmuid Udubna, or as is more popularly known as Diarmuid of the Love Spot, is the demigod son of Dawn, the Irish god of the underworld, and an unknown warrior from among the Fiannan. And if you didn't know, the Fiannan was a group of Irish renowned warriors led by the great hero and all-around dickish troll, Finn McCool. Knowing that, it's then to Diarmuid's credit that after joining this group himself, he will come to be known as First of the Fiannan, a title that identifies him as their greatest champion, and his skills more than back this up. As Lancer, Diarmuid possesses a complete mastery of the spear both when fighting orthodoxly or using his signature dual-wielding approach to combat, as seen from his fights with Saber, where he was not just effortlessly able to keep up with her, but also pressure her into being on the defensive. So, based on that and his other showings throughout Fate Zero, I think it's safe to say his fighting skills can easily be considered top tier in the Fate universe, being equally on par, if not greater, with other legendary fighters like Cuchulainn. Now, in regards to his abilities and noble phantasms, Diarmuid possesses 4 divine weapons in the form of 2 spears and 2 swords. Though due to class restrictions, he really can only use his spears when summoned as Lancer and his swords as Saber. And since we've already started this video talking about his Lancer incarnation, let's continue to do so and table anything to do with his Saber variation for now. So on that note, I'll start off with his yellow spear, Gebui, Yellow Rose of Mortality, which is the shorter of his 2 spears, one that is, similar to all his other weapons, initially wrapped in a special cloth so as to conceal its identity and seal off its abilities. However, once unsealed, a special curse is activated and any wound inflicted by the spear will be rendered incapable of being healed by any means. Obviously, this makes for an anti-personnel noble phantasm that is especially effective against servants who possess regenerative abilities like Spartacus or Artoria, but it still presents a problem for any kind of servant, as being unable to regenerate any amount of damage puts them at a severe disadvantage during combat, especially if Lancer's own wounds can easily be healed by his master. And even if they were to retreat after taking damage from this lance, their unhealed wounds prevents them from ever fighting at full power until the curse is lifted, which can only happen either by A. killing Lancer or B. breaking his spear. That is of course assuming their wounds aren't serious enough to simply kill them over time. Now the next noble phantasm Lancer possesses is his long red spear called Gay Jarg, Crimson Rose of Exorcism. And this spear has the ability to nullify any and all magic from whatever is directly in contact with it. The keywords being directly in contact, as once the spear is removed from whatever is disrupting, the flow of magic will resume normally. And we first see all this in action when the spear was used to bypass Saber's magically woven armor, showing that, by its very nature, this weapon is perfect for dealing with any and all kinds of phantasmal defense, like say Archer's Roais for example, as it would simply slip past it without any hindrance whatsoever. And it's because of this the spear itself can be thought to be a kind of anti-noble phantasm. But its practical use isn't limited to simply penetrating phantasmal defenses, as negating magic can be applied to different things, as we see when Diarmuid disrupted the bounded field of invisible air surrounding Saber's holy blade, thereby revealing the length of the concealed weapon. Or when he completely shattered Caster's spell by temporarily severing the connection of mana supply between Caster and his grimoire. And no doubt these are just a few of the many instances where the spear can come in clutch, but despite how powerful it is against magic, it's still just a spear and can be defended easily against with any physical object durable enough to block it, like a good shield or something. And that's pretty much all that can be said about Lancer's noble phantasms. Moving on to his skills, he's got magic resistance rank B, a skill common to all Lancer class servants, as well as 3 other skills unique to himself. The first and most famous one being his famed love spot, which isn't actually so much a skill as it is a curse placed on Lancer that should any woman look at his face, they would fall hopelessly in love with him. While this ability may not sound terrifying on paper, it actually is because it's basically mind control. Though admittedly the specific conditions it requires in order to be effective does limit its use, as not only does it work exclusively on women, but only ones with low magic resistance. That being said, females who fall under this bracket, like say Atalanta, will do a Solao and fall head over heels for our Irish pretty boy, guaranteeing him an easy win. Though whether his chivalric code will let him take this win is an entirely different matter. Next up, we have his unique skill called Mind's Eye, a skill that lets him analyze an ongoing battle and choose the most appropriate action to deal with any situation he faces, which is what we likely saw him use in his first fight with Saber when he managed to catch her off guard with Diarmuid. And finally, for his last skill, we have Night Strategy, a skill that only comes into play when Lancer is backed into a corner and can't beat his opponent outright for whatever reason. So instead he focuses on observing his opponents, then creating an opening to exploit whatever weaknesses or mistakes they reveal. And with that said, we've completed our analysis of Diarmuid's skills as Lancer. I will now move on to his Saber variation, starting with his Divine Noble Phantasms. The first of which is his yellow sword, Bergaltat, Ripples of Passion, whose main ability serves to boost defense by upping the defensive parameters of the wielder and maxing out their magic resistance. In contrast to this, his red sword Morota, Surging Seas of Fury, is a fully offensive weapon, as well as the strongest noble phantasm that Diarmuid possesses, and it is capable of an anti-unit attack that is said to kill anything, and I mean anything, in one hit, and is reputed to go so far as seemingly altering fate itself in order to guarantee this. Now that is crazy. Unfortunately though, the exact mechanics of how it operates is still unknown, and while there are a lot of theories out there about how it works, nothing concrete has yet to be established. In addition to these noble phantasms, Saber Diarmuid also possesses the riding skill, which is common for all sabers, as well as the mana burst skill, which, if you didn't know, involves the sudden release of built up magical energy in the body in order to perform a move of great speed or strength, a technique that Diarmuid picked up during his time among the gods, and one he uses to perform ridiculously high jumps. And that's about it for his incarnation as Saber. And I should be wrapping up now, but there's one thing I'd like to make note of before concluding, and that has to do with class restrictions. Now, class restrictions, as we know, hinders most all servants in using a particular set of noble phantasms. And while servants can be summoned at the pinnacle of their legend when they were at their strongest or had their best weapons on them, like Gilgamesh when summoned as Archer or Iskander as Rider, true to that A-rank luck of his, Diarmuid isn't one of those lucky bastards, as no matter what class you choose to summon him, he will never be as strong as he was in life. And this is entirely due to the weapons he is forced to use, and I'm talking about his yellow spear and sword. You see, in life, Diarmuid would never go into battle with any of these weapons. Instead, the weapons he brought with him when things got real were both his red sword and spear, as they were his preferred weapons. And it was while dual wielding them that he performed most of the legendary feats he is renowned for, such as his killing of over 3,000 warriors single-handedly, or his slaying of the giant Sharovan. Now, don't get me wrong, Diarmuid as a heroic spirit is still a badass, especially as Saber, but his unique circumstance of using both a lance and a sword in battle comes to bite him in the ass in a Holy Grail war. And with that, I believe we have covered everything there is to cover about the strongest of the Fiannan, and hopefully I've put to rest any ridiculous notion that this army slaying servant is anything but a badass. Please feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions on this video in the comment section below, and if I missed anything about these servants, don't hesitate to let me know. As usual, if you like what you see here and want to see more, you should hit that like button and then subscribe to my channel for more faith related content. Also, don't be afraid to click that notification bell to get notified when I drop my next video. In addition to Fate, I do Ben 10 videos as well as comic book stuff, so feel free to take a look at my channel as you might like what you see. And if you do see something you like, I would appreciate it if you share to those you feel would likewise be interested. Thank you guys for watching. and see you all next time.